Welcome back. Been a little bit, but there's good reason. We had some stuff going on at home. Also, I've been working on the 68 Mustang, trying to get that ready to go. And to be honest, I don't really know what the problem is. I thought I had a solution, so I started making a video about it, but it didn't work out. So until I know what the solution is, I don't really want to jump too far down that hole and find out that everything I've been telling you is wrong, and here we are. So we got a whole bunch of cleanup to do that has to happen. This place is just a disaster, and we have a little welding project to do. So we have this ladder rack here, and the guy had it on the truck, took it off, and he wanted to repaint it, and there's just some welds here that he's concerned about down in here, so he left, this is in primer now, and he left all the spots that he wanted me to look at or go over just raw. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna flip it up and around 100 different ways. We're gonna weld all the little spots that he's asking to have welded, and then he can get this thing out of here. Next, I got some tires over here. Those are rollers for another project that we're gonna be starting here as soon as we can squirrel away a little bit of money to get on it. That way I don't start you guys on a project and it takes 4 years to complete it or something like that. Next thing in here that you guys haven't seen yet is a weight machine. I'm getting kind of chunky, and we're gonna try and solve that with that thing, so I gotta get that all set up. We just got a lot of stuff to go through, and yeah, I haven't been feeling it too much lately, so I took a little bit of time off and just tried to focus on my own stuff, and now we're back. So enough talking, let's get to it. We got to drag the welder out and get this rack done so we can get on to other stuff. Let's go. Okay, so we're back. As you saw, we were able to run through with the welder, weld up all the little spots that they indicated they wanted done. I hit him with the flap disc real quick, just kind of flatten him out so he didn't have any huge lumps when he goes to paint it, and that's it. Next thing I did, which has been on the list for months now, was to go back and re-torque the hoist. So, as you saw, I think it was 2 years ago, we put in this one here, and just about a year ago now, we put in this one. Now, if you have a hoist at home and you have not checked, go through and re-torque the bolts that hold it into the ground. So over time, with a car up on there, you're going up and down, you're taking stuff in and out, whatever, those things will become a little bit loose. So what you want to do is periodically go through and just re-torque. So I had, this one was doing just fine. This arm over here, there was 2 of them that, got, I don't know, an 1/8 of a turn or something like that. Nothing too crazy, but enough that you don't want to have 7, 6, 10,000 pounds up above you and know or not know that that arm is going to stay exactly where it was when you started. So I always put a ton of stands underneath my hoist. I think I have 2 over there in the back corner. And as you can see here, I got a whole sea of them. And I always have stands. I usually try and put 4, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Again, as I'm getting older, I'm way more safety conscious. Before, when I was younger and, working at miscellaneous shops and whatnot, I would never put one under there at all. I'd drop it on the lock on the column there, and that was it. So again, those things are real cheap. I think I got the gray ones from Harbor Freight for $100 or something like that, 85 bucks. And the red ones I got, who even knows where. Some of them were online purchases and whatnot. So you want to make sure if you have the hoist, again, those bolts that go down into the ground are torqued. And then I went through here and you have the bolt or the adjustment nut on this side, and then if we come over here, you have one on the back side. So that's going to tension these here cables. The one on the other side there will tension the cable in the back. The one on the front, right behind me here, will do the one in the front. Make sure that those are snug. Again, you don't want them too, you know, too crazy, but you just want to have a little bit of tension on them. If they had no tension at all the weight would be going on one cable and not the other, and you could have an accident. So we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna pull the 06 forward. We're gonna do the cables on this hoist just to make sure that everything there is good. And then we're gonna continue with our cleanup. So I won't bore you guys with trying to go through and tighten the cables on that or check the cables. So I'll just move it forward and I'll bring you back right after and we'll see what we're gonna do next. All right, so we got the hoist bolted back to the ground or retorqued to the ground, tightened the cables or checked them. We did the same thing on this one. We installed some nice new graphics here, as you can see. I did my top mark here like I do on all the hoists, so you know kind of when you're gonna reach the top, you don't have to wait for it to hit it and then figure out, hey, we're there. So all that's done. Now, we got the 06 here. I took it out a couple nights ago, and this nice truck that was passing by threw some rocks up and hit me there and chipped the paint, but I guess that's the chance you take by driving on the roads. Now, the reason it's in here parked the way that it is it got a little bit of a miss or something to it at idle. It kind of stumbled around a bit a couple times. Now, I don't know if it was bad fuel or I got a leak in the intake system or what. So what we are going to do is pop the hood on this. We'll pull a couple spark plugs, check those. It sounded like it was the passenger side. It kind of just had a little when it was idling. So we're gonna pull the plugs on this side, make sure everything looks all right. These plugs are, I wanna say about 1.5 years old at this point. I do have another set in the bin up there on the pallet racking for this car. So we'll probably grab another set of plugs, drop a set of plugs in. Like I said, we'll check the air filter, we'll check the mass air connections, make sure all that stuff is good. And hopefully this thing's all said and done. September 14th, there is the Ford Stampede, or what they're calling the Stampede, and that's for all years of Mustangs from 64.5 all the way to present. And everybody's gathering at Ford World Headquarters, going from there down to the unveiling of the new Mustang, so the newest generation. Now, I planned on taking the 68, and that's why I've been killing myself on it, but I got a box right here, and that box is the box of death. That is a new Holly, and we have a whole bunch of problems with it, but let's jump into that after we get this done. So Holly's an incredible company, and they are absolutely incredible to deal with. So they sent a new EFI out for me, and hopefully we can get that thing ready. If that doesn't make the Stampede, we are damn sure gonna take this one. Now, the little stumble is what we're after, so let's pop the hood and get after it, all right? So we got the coils off the passenger side, all four, 1, 2, 3, 4. I pulled the intake tube off. I pulled the throttle body off, it's right there. I pulled the little 45 adapter that goes back here. It comes kind of like this. Pulled that off, got all these coils out. And I threw some WD-40 down in each spark plug hole. So this is a 4.63 valve, which is known for these horrible spark plugs. So what happens is, as you can see, the threads are way down here and you have all this up here. So the threads actually, if you can see this little step here, that's one piece, and then this part that sticks out here, that's a separate piece. So these are a two-piece plug, and what happens is when you try to thread these things out, the threads will stay in the head, but the plug will separate, or the center will separate from that, and that will come out. So then you need to drill them, and it's a whole thing. So what you want to do is make sure every time you go to change these suckers, you anti-seize them, and even if you don't change them, pull them out every so often. So I usually do it every year, but with this thing not getting a ton of miles, I didn't do it last winter, and we had everything else going on. So they're a little bit stuck in there, and yeah, that's why I threw the WD-40 down. Now, best way to handle it in the future, I figured these were gonna come right out, so I didn't do it. But best way to do it is get the motor up to operating temperature, turn it off, pull the little coils out of the top, soak them, and while the engine is hot, let that penetrating lube kind of seep down into those threads, and they pop right out. You can use diesel, but penetrating lube or diesel, whatever, it all works. So we're gonna let this thing sit for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. All right, so like I said, we spent 10 minutes talking, and we got all the plugs out. I did go and anti-seize the ones that I put back in where these ones didn't have it, like I mentioned, but none of these look real bad, to be honest. They're not real carboned up, they're not full of oil or anything, so it appears that I don't have a cylinder that's gone bad or that's leaking coolant or oil or something into it. So what we're gonna do is drop all the coils back on, we'll bolt all that stuff back up, check all of our electrical connections, whether it's at the coil itself or the injector. Then we're gonna go and check all the vacuum lines and just make sure that that stuff's good. We'll go put this thing back together. It is pretty late, so we're not gonna go fire it up, but we'll get it damn close, and then hopefully tomorrow I can take it for a ride around the block and see if it still does the same thing it was doing. Again, like I said, it's possible it was bad fuel. I got fuel at a gas station that I never go to, and hey, I don't know, maybe they don't cycle out premium that often. All right, so I think that's about where we're gonna wrap this thing. I know it's a nice short video, but we did get some decals up on this hoist finally. I did go through also and put my top mark like I always do. That way you know kind of where you're at when the arms are going. I have the same thing on this hoist here. That one was already labeled. Like I said, we torqued everything, checked all the cables, did all of that. We did a little bit of cleaning up. We did some welding, and yeah. I think we got another night or two out here of these small type jobs, and then we're going to have a big job coming in. So I got 3 or 4 days to get ready for that. And yeah, I'd like to have this place kind of in order before that gets here. Now, I am going to do a full feature on this and another short little video, but I thought I'd throw it in here as well. So we went back to P2M. They're the ones who did the rear suspension on the 06 and the outer tie rod ends on the front end. Love their products, love working with them, and I'm kind of doing something that they usually aren't known for. We're going to be using their parts on a 68 Mustang. So what we have here are these super awesome billet clamps. So these are nice billet aluminum. They have a bunch of different colors. These ones here are the 3-inch, but I do have a 3.5. And what these are for are the intake clamps that I have on there right now. I just have like the normal worm style clamp on it currently, and it looks like junk. So what we're gonna do is put these guys on it. That'll dust up and clean up the intake tube, and it'll match the red anodizing on my carb hat. So we're gonna go ahead and get those on in the next video. Like I said, I'm gonna do a nice short one just dedicated to those guys, and then we're gonna do a full feature here on this channel based on installing them and how I like them, etc. So shout out to P2M for for the awesome products and the support as usual. Like I've always said, these guys are absolutely incredible to deal with. So I'd like to shout out to them, P2M, phase2motortrend.com. If you're gonna go over and look for any of the stuff that they have to offer, which is, you know, floor mats, to rad hoses, to intercooler tubing, to the billet clamps that we got here, to suspension components like we're using on the Mustang. They have it for all kinds of imports, and now they're breaking out into this scene. Make sure you go get any of that stuff from these guys. It is absolutely an honor to have a company like this that has our back here, and I sure as heck have theirs. So if you're gonna go over there, mention 710, and yeah, hopefully you guys get out in your shop, do some stuff, and we'll have another video tidying up the last little bit of this junk before we get the big project in here. And unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to make a video on the 68 and where we're at now. And yeah, I don't think it's gonna look as pretty under the hood as it has in the past, or like it does right now. So make sure you come back for that video. I'll probably throw it up in a couple days here, and yeah, get out in your shop and do stuff.